All right, diving deep into the mind of Cus D'Amato today.
Really digging into it.
Everyone knows him, right? The man who made Mike Tyson a legend.
Yeah, molded him.
But this isn't about throwing punches. It's about training your mind like a champion.
Absolutely.
And you specifically mentioned you wanted to get into Cus's methods, the stuff people don't talk about as much.
The mental game.
Exactly. That's what this deep dive is about.
Love it.
So we're working with the Cus D'Amato mind.
Great book.
And the big question is, how do these insights apply to someone like you or me, even if we've never stepped foot in the ring?
Right.
Because that's the thing about Cus. He wasn't just training fighters, was he?
No, he built them.
From scratch.
From the ground up.
And he truly believed that greatness, you're not born with it.
Cultivated, totally.
You build it.
You got it.
And the book makes a really good point about this. How many trainers take someone who's completely new and turn them into a champ?
Very few.
Like he did.
Almost unheard of.
Patterson, Tyson.
Exactly.
That's got to be inspiring for anyone listening who feels like, underestimated.
Oh, totally. Cus could see it in them. That's powerful.
Right. Like he sees something in you that maybe you don't even see in yourself yet.
And he pulls it out of you.
Exactly. So what was he looking for?
Yeah, what made a Cus fighter?
Well, the book highlights a few traits, and honestly, this goes way beyond boxing.
Oh, absolutely. Life lessons here.
So, number one, discipline.
The foundation.
But not just, oh, I'm motivated this week kind of discipline.
No, the deep down grit.
Cus wanted that grind, even when it sucks.
When you don't feel like...
And there's this quote from him, something like, separate feeling from logic.
I love that one.
Because our feelings, they change, right?
Up and down, all over the place.
But the logic, the why behind what you're doing, that's what keeps you going.
Exactly. When motivation disappears, logic kicks in.
So it's building that mental muscle.
You got it.
That inner drive, even when...
Because it's not going to be easy.
Never is.
The path to success, in the ring or anywhere else, it's never a straight line.
Setbacks, plateaus, you name it.
And discipline, that's how you get through it.
Now, speaking of focus, Cus, he was all about this thing he called tunnel vision.
Laser focus.
Ruthless, even.
Oh, yeah, cut out the distractions, anything that wasn't serving the goal.
And the book even mentions sometimes that meant cutting out people.
If they were holding you back, gone.
There's that story about the fighter, his girlfriend was a distraction.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
And Cus basically said, look, if you want to be champ, she's got to go. Hardcore, dude.
No messing around.
Makes you think, though, right? What are we letting clutter our own lives?
Distractions are everywhere these days.
Phones, social media, it's never ending.
And it drains your energy.
Let's hear that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly.
And then finally, adaptability.
Ah, now this is interesting.
Cus, he loved when a fighter exceeded expectations.
You didn't want robots, right?
No, he wanted them to think on their feet.
Adapt to the situation.
And the book ties this back to his love of sparring diverse partners.
Got to get comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Constantly challenged.
Touching your boundaries.
Because in boxing, like life, the only constant is change.
The more adaptable you are, the better you can handle whatever comes your way.
So we've got discipline as our base tunnel vision to keep us on track.
Laser focus.
And adaptability to navigate the detours we're all going to face.
And it's amazing how these principles, they come from the boxing ring.
But they apply to
anyone, anywhere, striving for any kind of success.
It's that universal truth.
Cus was onto something.
And this is where Cus's approach gets really fascinating because we're talking about fear.
Oh, yeah. Everyone's favorite topic.
Right. Most of us, we shy away from fear. It's uncomfortable.
We try to avoid it.
But Cus, he taught his fighters to embrace it.
Use it to their advantage.
Not recklessly, but strategically.
He had this amazing way of reframing fear, turning it from a weakness into a strength.
Yeah, it wasn't about being fearless, was it?
No, it was about being fearless in the face of fear.
And the book has that great example, walking into traffic, right?
Yeah, your fear in that moment, that's what keeps you alive.
It jolts you, makes you aware of the danger.
That's instinct.
And Cus tapped into that.
He taught his fighters to see fear as a friend, a protector.
Almost like a sixth sense, heightening your awareness.
Exactly. It's not about eliminating fear. It's about control.
Harnessing that energy.
And one of the most powerful examples of this, how he dealt with the fear of failure.
Oh, that's a big one.
Crippling for a lot of people.
Inside the ring and out.
Cus believed that fear of not giving your all, that was far worse than the fear of losing.
It's like that regret, that what if.
The book talks about how Tyson trained like his life depended on it.
Because of that fear, wow.
Cus instilled that in him.
Makes you think Right. What are we holding ourselves back from because we're afraid to mess up?
Afraid to fail.
But Cuss's philosophy, it's like the antidote to that fear is action.
Absolutely. And not just any action.
Right. He was big on preparation.
Meticulous, over-preparing, leaving no room for doubt.
The book goes into detail about how he planned for every scenario.
Drilled his fighters until they were machines almost.
So when the pressure's on, the bell rings.
Their bodies just know what to do.
They've already faced uncertainty in the gym.
Exactly. And it wasn't just physical preparation.
There's a mental side, too.
Oh, absolutely. Mental rehearsal, visualization.
Walking through the fight in their minds over and over.
So when they stepped into the ring, it felt familiar.
They'd already won it, in a way.
Mentally, yeah. And that brings us to fight night, the culmination of all that work.
The moment of truth. Now, you think about those pre-fight moments, right?
The intensity.
It gotta be a blur of adrenaline.
Nerves on edge.
But the book, it paints a different picture.
Oh, definitely.
Almost like Cuss saw the waiting game as the real opponent sometimes.
He knew in those quiet moments, that's when the mind can really mess with you.
Because while other trainers, they're all about hyping their fighters up.
Getting them riled up, ready to explode.
Cuss wanted the opposite almost.
A stillness.
Yeah, like a sense of calm amidst all the chaos.
The book even uses the word meditative.
Meditative. When you think boxing, that's not the first thing that comes to mind.
Right. But that was Cus, always thinking differently.
So how do you do it? How do you get a fighter in that zone?
Two key principles, expectancy and presence.
Okay, unpack those a bit, because expectancy sounds like, what, mental rehearsal?
Exactly, walking through every possible scenario in your mind.
This is familiar.
Exactly, not about erasing the nerves, that's impossible.
Right, because those stakes are high.
But it's about managing those nerves, turning that energy into focus.
So you're almost pre-programming your mind, taking away some of that fear of the unknown.
Exactly, and that's where presence comes in, being completely in the moment.
Not letting the doubts creep in.
Quieting that mental chatter, tapping into pure instinct.
And Cuss replicated this in training too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Pushing his fighters to their absolute limit.
So when the bell rings, the punches start flying.
They're not thinking, they're just reacting.
Pure instinct.
And that's where true greatness comes out, that space between stimulus and response.
And Cuss knew that. He knew skill was important.
Technique, all of that, it matters.
But it was the ability to endure, to push past your limits that made the difference.
Losers are winners who quit. That was one of his sayings.
And the book drives that home with another line, will overcoming skill.
Raw talent can only take you so far.
Cuss believed that with enough determination, you could overcome almost anything.
He'd put his fighters up against tougher sparring partners on purpose.
Make the gym the real test.
Because that's how you forge true strength, through adversity.
When you're exhausted, you're bruised, you want to give up.
But you dig deep and you find that will to keep going.
And this goes way beyond the boxing ring, doesn't it?
This is life advice. Leadership.
Because Cuss wanted his fighters to be leaders.
It started with owning who you are, flaws and all.
The book uses this word, conviction.
Making a decision and sticking to it, even when it's hard, even when everyone doubts you.
And you can feel that kind of conviction. It's magnetic.
People are drawn to it.
But there's another layer to leadership, purpose.
Cus wasn't just about winning fights.
He was fighting for something bigger than himself.
His support for his fighters, especially his black fighters, during segregation.
That's in the book. It's powerful.
Sleeping outside hotels with them when they were refused service.
That's putting your money where your mouth is, you know.
True leadership. Standing up for what's right, even when it costs you.
Finding that cause, that fire in your belly.
That's what keeps you going, long after the fight is over.
Wow, this has been an incredible deep dive.
It really has.
Feels like we just scratched the surface of Cuss's wisdom.
So much to unpack.
And what's amazing is how relevant it all still is today.
Absolutely.
This isn't just about boxing. This is about unlocking that inner champion we all have within us.
Absolutely. Embracing discipline, mastering fear, finding your focus.
And tapping into that inner strength.
It's all there, waiting to be unleashed.
And as we wrap up, I'm left thinking about everyone listening right now.
What's that one thing holding them back?
What's that fear? And what if, just what if they applied even a fraction of Cuss's mindset?
The possibilities are endless.
Food for thought. Until next time.